Welcome to Kickstart, where we profile startups and the stories behind their founders. Today, we are joined by Faisal Basar, founder of Tibot, which is a skin consultation and diagnosis app. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, for the audience that doesn't know who you guys are, would you please introduce yourself, your background, and everything that led up to Tibot?
Sure. So I'm a software developer and a technology entrepreneur. I have 20 years of experience in the IT industry. I've worked for small startups and Fortune 500 companies. I started a company before the current company, which I grew from 2 people, which was me and my co-founder, to 150 people across 4 countries.
Wow.
I successfully exited that company in the year 2017, and we started this company for Tibot.
What did you learn in that process of growing a company from 2 to 150? What do you think were some of the biggest takeaways there?
So the biggest takeaway, it takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and as an entrepreneur, you have to go survive the challenges which come on a daily basis. So that just the grit to make it through is what will make you succeed in the future.
Yeah, what I'm hearing a lot is founders that are just in one country are up 24 hours a day. I got to imagine if you're in 4 countries, you are up 24 hours a day as well, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So Tibot is a skin consultation diagnostic app. Can you tell me where the idea came from, where sort of you identified a need for this, and how you decided to approach solving that need?
So as a working parent, I would have a child. I would wake up in the morning and find a rash on my child's skin, and I would wonder, should I take time off and see a doctor, or should I just wait and see whether maybe it will resolve? Now, getting an appointment with a doctor is really very difficult, as you know.
Yeah, I tell you, so when I came to California, might be too much information, but I had a sty in my eye, which is sort of skin related, and it's something that can kind of go away in like 2 weeks, hopefully. But if it doesn't, you need to go get it lanced for it. And if you wanted to get an appointment, it took a month just to get the consultation. Exactly. And by that time, either things escalated to the point where it's really bad, or it just goes away.
It's the risk involved in waiting, and what if it worsens?
Yeah.
What do you do if it worsens? So it's a very difficult choice, and that is why we wanted an app using which you can do a diagnosis and determine what is the actual condition you have and what is the next steps related to it.
Yeah, kind of give them a sense of urgency if this is a big problem that they need to be. Yeah, that's really awesome. So can you talk a little bit more about how when you came up with the idea, how you went along the process of creating the app and solving that problem?
Okay, so our aha moment, as you might call it, is when I was thinking about this problem of how can I help solve healthcare. I came across a paper from Stanford Research where they were able to train a deep learning model which was able to detect cancer. So that got me thinking, with my software background, can I use this to make an app for an end user which will detect any skin problem and help them decide what are the next steps.
I'm curious, what was your background as a software developer that gave you that confidence that you could solve that?
So I have multifaceted background. I'm a developer myself. I still code. I love coding. I'm a machine learning engineer and data analyst. I've worked in these roles as well. So with that background, I was able to build on top of that and make Tibot.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So you guys have identified the need in the healthcare market. You've came up with the idea. You developed the app. You got your website. You're up and running. You have a working app. How do you approach the investor and funding stages of your company? How's that been?
Exactly, and that's a good question. It depends on when is the right time. You have to decide for yourself when is the right time. Firstly, first-time entrepreneurs think that just by having an idea, investors will put money on you. We found that is not the case. Even just a prototype will not excite investors these days. you have to have some customers or some users who can tell a positive story about you.
And you guys have a working app already,
exactly,
so you kind of had a leg up on the competition, just having like a demo or something.
Yes. To approach investors, it's better to get some coaching. I would strongly recommend entrepreneurs to join an incubator. There are various options. There are incubators where you have to go and be there on site, and there are some which provide a complete virtual program. But the mentoring and guidance which they will do is very helpful for first-time entrepreneurs, or even recurring entrepreneurs like me, to wade through the investment capital.
So I think that's something that could be very valuable for future or aspiring entrepreneurs out there. What were a couple things that you learned about your pitch, where I'm sure the first time you put a pitch together, you thought, this is it, right? I've got this beautiful package. Who wouldn't want to invest? And then they probably just ripped it apart. What were some of those original learnings that you were taught?
So one thing is, investors want to know more about you. They also want to know about the product, but they want to know a lot more in terms of what is the business model. Essentially, to put it, they want to know what is in it for me. Right? How do I see this as a business which will grow and into a big company which probably gets listed in the future or get acquired by another big company, or whatever the exit strategy is. They start thinking from that perspective, whereas entrepreneurs like us, we are just too excited about our idea and about a product to talk about the business and the end goal. Right? So that is one learning curve and going through an incubator or an accelerator program actually helps you fine-tune your pitch to meet exactly what the investors want to hear.
And I'm sure these investors are a little more confident investing in you if they know that your product works, if you have some story, some application of it. And you guys have that, right? Can you tell us about that story of support in India?
So our app is available online. Anyone can download our app. We have users from all over the world, obviously from US as well. But we wanted to try a study where we wanted to see how our app performs in rural and semi-urban areas. Our goal was to reach the unreached. Reach the people who do not have access to qualified dermatologists. So we did this campaign where we evaluated our app with performance of doctors in these areas, and we perform way better than these doctors in terms of diagnosis.
It's incredible.
So now we are currently trying to work with these doctors and provide them with tools and technology to have access to the right framework to make proper diagnostic decisions.
What were some of the most common skin problems that you guys were diagnosing when you're in India?
So the skin problems vary by region and by weather conditions.
Interesting.
So like in US, in dry conditions, people who have eczema have a lot of flare-ups because of the dry conditions. In India, which is humid and hot, you see a lot of fungal infections, which is related to that, and it's contagious. It can spread between people if proper hygiene is not taken care of. So we saw a lot of fungal infection during the period which is called tinea, or ringworm, which is during the period we were there.
So I have to imagine that going into these local regions and seeing the trends and the ailments that these people have, you're collecting a lot of data about the local. So can you talk about how you guys are sort of collecting that data, interpreting it, and able to support the local health systems to make them more efficient in helping their patients?
Exactly. So given the way we are placed, we have users from all over the world. So we have data related to where the person is coming from. We have data related to the time, so we can interpret what is the weather condition during that time period. And with this kind of data, we are able to perform much better than, say, a doctor who has just been working in one region.
Yeah.
So with machine learning technologies, we are able to use information not just information related to the skin image, which we analyze, and the symptoms which we ask, but also other data related to what's the time, what's the weather like, and where are you from, and other conditions to give you a more accurate diagnosis.
That's incredible. So we've talked a lot about the application of the app and what it can do to the healthcare system. Let's talk a little bit about the user experience. I was using it just earlier today, and I have to say that the chatbot technology was pretty impressive. It felt a lot like I was in the doctor's office being consulted right there about my skin condition. Can you kind of explain to the viewers what it's like from when you open the app until you get your diagnosis?
Sure. So it starts off with taking a picture of of the skin problem you have, and using this we get a list of the probable conditions which you might have, and as you visit a doctor, we try to emulate the process the doctor goes through when he or she sees a problem on the skin, has some conditions, and then uses some questions to drill down and rule certain diseases out and narrow down on the actual problem. So we start off with the skin image, and we get probabilities of the top conditions, and then we ask certain questions related to the actual problem you have to rule one out over the other. And we ask as you experience in a natural chatbot interface, we wanted users to have an experience of talking to AI, and based on this and other information like the place where the user is coming from, the date and time, weather conditions, we are able to accurately determine what the problem the user has. Now, since we are an AI and we are not a dermatologist, we give users the top 3 conditions which we evaluate along with the probabilities, and let them take a decision from there on.
That's a smart move. So I'm kind of curious, when you were starting the app, obviously as more users are taking pictures of their skin conditions, your app will get smarter and a little more accurate at evaluating what the skin condition is. How did you go about the first database, building that database of skin conditions and all the images and making your deep learning software very intelligent?
Exactly. And you're right. With deep learning and AI, it's all about the data. Right? The more data you have, the smarter the AI systems will get. We started off by hiring nurses who worked in outpatient dermatology clinics, and we took pictures of patients, obviously with their approval and all the process, and we would label with the dermatologist diagnosis, we would label. So that formed a lot of training data for us, and based on which we trained our system, and we got to where we are. But still, as users feed in more data, as we get more data, our system gets smarter and smarter day by day.
So as a user, I have logged into the app, taken a picture of my skin. I got the top 3 probable conditions. What are the next steps? What does it suggest? Do I go running to the CVS? Do I go to the emergency room? How do I know exactly what to do?
That's a great question, and that's what a lot of users tell us. Hey, okay, you tell me now what? So this is where we realized that we need to provide a comprehensive skincare solution. People need to know what are the treatment options. There are also some conditions which are chronic in nature, which you need to manage. All right. So there are these things. So we are currently adding. We are going to be releasing a feature wherein the user can verify the results by a dermatologist from within the app without having to take appointments. There is a fee which they have to pay the dermatologist. But the dermatologist will give them an evaluation and treatment options.
So are you guys partnering with a medical group of some sort to do that? How do you get that?
We're partnering with individual doctors who will work with us on a part-time basis. It's convenient for them, so when they are not seeing patients, they can essentially be evaluating cases and helping people out, but we can provide a very good value to the end user in terms of cost and just access to a dermatologist.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. So let's say it's not as serious of a medical condition. Do you guys give recommendations for how you can manage the treatment? Or you just go to CVS, and how do you know what to pick?
So since we are not a diagnostic device, we are not a diagnostic tool, either the user confirms it with a dermatologist who gives them a care plan, and they can go to CVS and buy whatever medicines the doctor prescribes.
Yeah.
Or if for self-learning, we have a list of certain conditions, and you can see essentially it's a wiki where you can learn about different conditions. Cool. How do you manage what creams are used to treat it, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Giving information for the users of the app to kind of understand their condition, preventative care, stuff like that.
Yes, exactly.
It's very powerful stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So as an app, as a startup, as a company that's growing, what are some of the biggest challenges you guys are facing in acquiring users?
So acquiring users, we have to really reach out to users. The challenge is online marketing, and especially with a startup, you're always strapped for cash.
Yeah.
We are also looking at getting seed VC funding. But while we go through the process, we have to be very careful of how to effectively use the marketing dollars we have and get the most amount of users.
Yeah.
So that is always a challenge for any startup, how to make the best use of the resources you have.
Yeah. What are some of your goals for the company in 2019?
So we want to we are releasing features for managing chronic conditions like eczema and psoriasis, which actually impacts a lot of people in the US. So we are working on an app using AI to manage these conditions, and our goal is to work with hospitals, and we're talking to some dermatologists already to work with them and have this evaluated on their patients.
That's awesome. I really see a lot of value in the immediate healthcare that this, the accessibility to immediate healthcare that this offers users. I think is incredible. Is there one last final thing you would like to share with the viewers on the vision of Tibot, where you would like to see it end up, and the impact you want it to have on the healthcare system?
Sure. So the healthcare industry has a lot of problems currently, and one direction which a lot of companies are going to is empowering patients. You know the product of Apple with the iWatch and other things, they are putting control in the hands of the users.
It's pretty incredible the amount of data it can give you just by having a wristband on,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And then, it's not just the problem is when you see a doctor, the doctor prescribes a medicine and then you're on your own, right? You want to be taken care of continuously. And this is where technology is going to be centerpiece, including AI and machine learning, which will help monitor and personalize care management for each and every individual. So we feel that's the direction where the industry is going, and that's where we want Tibot to be.
Yeah, pushing the technologies there. That's really awesome. Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you to the viewers for joining as well.